something that's a little further on in the book and the initiation into Hermetics. But recently I discovered a piece of obsidian, and it turns out during practice, and it turns out that obsidian can be quite a useful tool for magic mirrors. And so, Philip, I'd love to start with you if I could. And if you could comment on the value in exploring magic mirrors.
Well, they obviously, Barden talks about accumulators and loading magic mirrors so that they can be set to concentrate. Then you can actually switch them to radiate and then keep them aside, loading quietly on their own. So they're immensely useful. Many years ago, I actually wrote a book which used spagyric, alchemical spagyric liquids as accumulators instead of just basic herbal extractions, and they would become, if you like, the liquid body of a mirror. They are immensely versatile. You can make a mirror specifically. You can even put, for example, what you find in Francis Barrett's The Majors, Magic Squares, into the mirror if you're going to keep it stuck with one planet instead of a general use mirror. Then you can put herbs, metals, etc. relating to that into, say, a plaster of Paris mirror. Then you can varnish it over or paint it over matte black and matte varnish so that it doesn't, you don't lose any of the paint if you drop it by accident. And it's really, really useful in a lot of ways. You can use it. There's a really good book. It's not in print at the moment. How to Make and Use Magic Mirrors by Nigel R. Clough. And there's a lot of Barden stuff in there. And people might find it interesting because basically what this guy does is he explains how to use magic mirrors, but then, rightly or wrongly, he places the methodology for it at a much earlier point in Barden's training. But because it is very Barden stuff, that might be of interest to people if they can find the PDF online. I looked the other day and I saw a PDF for it. Unfortunately, it's out of print, so it's ridiculously expensive to buy. It's only a little book. How to Make and Use Magic Mirrors by Nigel R. Clough. That book's been around a long time, and it just to discuss that, you can use a mirror to draw you into the astral if you're not conversant with traveling out of body yet. You can lie down or assume an asana, have the mirror set up, and you can have it just help you as you move out of your physical body, and then go through it. For example, as well as, and this is more so where Barden discusses its usages. You can load it, and then it can radiate energy. It can be used to protect an area, or it can be used in evocation. You can load a mirror, and then if you put a planetary energy on it, you can put that onto the triangle, and that can make life a lot easier. Obviously, you can also have various angels, for example, in Enochian. If I've got I've got a sheet of obsidian, and when I went to the British Museum a while back, they actually had Dee's obsidian mirror, which he had used to speak with the angels, along with Kelly. They didn't just use a piece of quartz the size of an orange. They also sometimes used this flat piece of obsidian as well. So the magic mirror can be. People try to make a distinction between magic mirrors and crystals, and in terms of manufacture or whether you buy one, that's true. But they can overlap very much so. It's a shame Bob isn't on, because he would be able to talk about this device that we looked at a while ago, and that really helps. That really helps with the work. But I'll let it be. Bob knows more about it, so he can. There they go. They are very useful. Very useful devices. And then if you put a shoe stone or a mirror on top of that device, it goes very nicely indeed. I could talk for hours, but I'll let other people have a chance. I could just spend hours talking about mirrors and shoe stones. Please add more. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you. And I wanted to save that question for you because I know you have some background knowledge on that. And I think, the living crystal device can add a new level of exploration to some familiar types of apparatus and implements in the magician's kit. Now, Victoria, have you got something you can add on the value in exploring magic mirrors?
Sure. I also have an obsidian mirror, and I've done some invocation with it, but honestly, I haven't worked with my mirror that much because I wanted to experiment with the visualization of a spirit in the mirror. And I was able to do that. And when I first started, I was having kind of difficulty getting a visualization in the mirror. And a fellow magician told me to put my clairvoyance fluid condenser that I made on the mirror itself, and that you need some kind of fluid there to kind of help it. So I did that, and that helped. Now, what I'm fascinated in, but I haven't experimented or put the time into it yet, is using the mirror to look into different planes of existence. Not just invocation, but looking at different astral planes, different mental planes. However, it is also just like an external physical object. You can do that, just internally. But I do find myself coming to appreciate more and more using external props, because while France Barden is an internal power system and it focuses on that, there's also the beauty of being in Malkuth and having physical objects around us, and those are magical things. So even though, as a personal practitioner, I focus on the internal a lot, I'm starting to appreciate more and more you can use the external world, as within, so without, as without, so within.
Oh, yeah, I love that. Yeah, hey, look, I love toys. I can't help it. I've been a musician. You should have seen the rig that I had when I was earning good money, and I had a beautiful guitar, a beautiful amp, beautiful rig, and that enhanced the experience that I was able to provide for myself and for others. And if I tried to do it with substandard gear, I could probably still get something, but I'd have to squeeze it a little bit harder. I'd have to work a bit harder. And so as I'm aging in years, I'm finding I'm okay with using certain things. There's certainly certain internal aspects that I prefer to just go vanilla with, or I'm a naked practicer in some ways, but I have to say I do enjoy, like, that piece of obsidian that popped up in the practice that I made a short video on it. I've actually got a friend who's had a big change in his life, and he's getting into working with stone, and so he's got it, and I've asked him to polish it flat. And so, but I sit with this thing, and I've sat with crystals, but I've sat with this piece of obsidian, and it's a thunderbolt, man. You notice it, but sitting with it, I'm wandering off the topic, but I found that it's really important to explore because it also helps me fund my mental transference training and my clairsentience development too. And so these external things become quite valuable in that sense. But yeah, I mean, magic mirrors are still something I haven't got into yet, but the bros chipping me something up. And so I'll be looking forward to having a play with that. And with that said,
may I add one thing?
Please.
With obsidian and also jet, if memory serves me correct, they will attract from the environment. So it's a very good idea to keep them wrapped in silk when they're not in use. That's the only thing I would add.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great. And that I've heard that echoed as well from others. So that's a great piece to think about, because you're right, like, you don't necessarily want to leave things on, in the background. It's like once you're finished with it, the operation's complete, you put it aside and you put it away. So